Why don't we start at the far end?
I don't care. I'm not going to be around to see it, but if anything survives, it'll probably be those dang cat pictures on Facebook. In 20 or 30 years, there'll be somebody like me who's scrounging through an old used bookstore and runs across a copy of one of my books and reads it and says, "That guy wasn't too bad. I wonder who he was."
And he liked kittens. I've seen them on the YouTube. I'm with Bill. You know, you're dead, gone. Who cares? But it would be nice. It would be nice for somebody to dig you up in an old used bookstore, if there are any still around, or an old e-book store. Do you think there is such a thing? Anyway. So we'll see.
I'm reminded of Woody Allen's observation where he said that he didn't want to achieve immortality through his work, he wanted to achieve immortality by not dying. And when I came across that line saying that immortality is through the work is an enormous concern of all writers, I was puzzled and I wondered to what extent that was true. It seems to me, and I thought about it some, and it seems to me that it's such a, on the one hand, such a futile thing, because virtually everything that's written now will be forgotten before terribly long. Or it'll have academic survival, which means that it's read only by people who are forced to read it. And also, I've imagined several scenarios for an afterlife, but in none of them do I spend eternity worrying about whether some people back on Earth are reading something I wrote many years previously. I don't see how it would matter very much to me. One thing that I think is interesting is that the books that are most likely to survive, in the sense that they continue to be read for pleasure or out of interest by readers, are genre fiction of one sort or another, which is written with the least expectation of that. The bestsellers of 100 years ago are forgotten. The handful of literary classics that have endured are just a drop in the bucket, you know, but the complete works of Agatha Christie are still in print, you know, things like that. So it's interesting what lasts and what doesn't, but ultimately I have to fall with the people who say, who cares?
Yeah, I also don't spend a lot of time thinking about this, but I would say that I care on this level that with the Lydia Chin books, I would like to think that what survives is not necessarily my books, but a slightly different attitude toward Asian Americans and you know, people of color in general as protagonists. That if I help move that needle a little bit, that I would like that to endure. But my books, you know, I mean, yeah, I'd like to think that people in the year 2230 are going to be reading them. But if they are, I won't know about it anyway. And probably, you know, they won't be, and that's okay too. Because Larry and I will be like, you know, up on a cloud doing something else. Where did that?
I'm still going to be around. I think everybody likes to think they're doing good work, but the idea that I can't imagine, I can't imagine me anyway, sitting down thinking, I'm writing a Netflix classic. You know, it doesn't mean I don't care. I write as well as I can, and I believe I write pretty well. But that doesn't necessarily indicate survival, because there's just so many factors in that. So to sit around and worry about something that you would never know about is ridiculous. You know, so many, when you go back and you read a lot of the writers, especially those that are now literary writers, and the ones, or the ones that were considered themselves literary writers, only a handful of them, as I think Larry said, remain. And they were dead serious in their time. And even some, you know, that were popular 5 years ago are less popular now, or 10 years ago, and whatever. So to me, what I try to do is write the best I can. Like you, a lot of my work is trying to present characters that are black, women, different situations that I hope maybe move the needle a little bit collectively, not by itself. Obviously, I don't have that kind of weight or power, but I think to the bottom line is always just write as best you can. You never really know, for this reason, is there's a difference in a novel that's of its time and a novel that's about its time. And you can't always divide that. You know, you don't know. A novel that's of its time is usually forgotten. A novel that's about its time, people can look back in the past and say, oh, that's how it was. But you don't know that you're doing it or not doing it. So to make that part of your worry is ridiculous. But to make it important to do your craft as well as you can is highly important.
I want to toss in one thing because it was a news item that I came across just yesterday, the day before, and that's that in Sauk Center, Minnesota, was the hometown of Sinclair Lewis, and the setting certainly for Main Street, and I think for Babbitt as well, though it may not have been specified. And they had a Sinclair Lewis Center there, which was sort of a museum and that honoring the man. And they've just closed it now to tear it down and put up a thus far unspecified chain store of one sort or another.
We need that.
And I think it couldn't happen more fittingly than to the author of Main Street and Babbitt.
I think he would laugh.
Yeah, I think it would.
And,
I think he'd be pissed off.
Yeah, even some writers like Mark Twain who've survived, people forget that they wrote a lot of books that people are rarely aware of, and many of which are not constantly in print. So again, even the greats, you know.
Come on, you read The Life of Mary Baker Eddy last week.
No. Joan of Arc.
I want to point out that Lawrence Block is the only one up here whose books from the past have come back and been rediscovered. He's the only guy I know who can forget who even published a book 50 years ago and then have it reprinted.
I can forget who published it last year.
Okay, so what we know is whoever it was who said that all writers care deeply about their work enduring beyond their own lifetime, they were wrong.
I want to know who did that, who suggested it. Never mind.
Okay,
I did want to add one thing. That's not the same thing as I'm not caring about doing it well now. It's a difference.
absolutely. And I think that what we've just heard is that the readers matter, and the people who are reading our books today are who we're interested in resonating with.
I'm not really. When I write, I don't write for you. I don't care what you want. When I get done, then I'm begging you to like it. But I always write like everybody I know is dead, because otherwise I start to gear my books for an audience I really don't know. Because I don't know. Like if I tried to pick you and you and you and you and you and said, okay, what do these people like? How would I know? But I know what I like, and so I'm hoping there are enough people out there like me. But when I sit down, I've always said only my pit bull gets to say something, and that's because he's silent. And because when I sit down, I really don't care what you like, and it's not because I don't like the audience. Don't misunderstand me. It's just because it's a ridiculous idea to me. And the only idea I know is to do the best I can. Obviously, if I were working in a set series, you know what that series is about. And also by that, they always go, Joe, you're not following the guidelines, back when I was doing that sort of stuff. So I'm not good at that. But to me, that's just I kind of spin off of what you said. I don't want to go too far, but just the thing is I always think that when you sit down, you're going to write a lot better and have a lot more fun if you write for yourself.
So let's talk about after you're done. Fan mail and reader reviews. How carefully do you follow your reviews? And I'm not talking about, you know, the reader reviews, the stuff that shows up on Amazon. And maybe, if it comes to mind, the best or worst piece of fan mail you ever received. SJ, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. I don't read the reviews, but I do look at the stars. You know, but when I get a 1 or 2 star review, I ask a friend to read it to make sure that A, they really actually read my book, and that I didn't offend somebody on some really socio-political point. I didn't offend an Asian person if it's a Lydia book. I didn't offend, when I wrote Skin of the Wolf, there's a big Native American theme in there. I didn't want to hear from Native Americans, oh, who the hell is this person to say all the stupid stuff, she's wrong. So I asked somebody to read that stuff and make sure that that's not what happened, because if it is, I want to, you know, write to the critic. Otherwise, I don't read them, because like a lot of writers, you know, if you write me a 5-star review, what do you know? If you write me a 1-star review, you're right, you know. And
Believe the good ones, you gotta believe the bad ones.
Yeah, and I don't believe the good ones, so that's how I get away with mine.
It's everybody's opinion. I mean, everybody's right from their own perspective unless they're just trying to be a jackass.
So I don't.
And a 1-star is a jackass by definition.
Yeah. So I don't read them. My worst piece of fan mail I ever got was from a guy who, first of all, told me he loved my books. Love. But, and this is, back in the days, this is before email. This was a 4-page spider handwriting letter. Because I had one of my characters is wearing a Rolex. And the guy says, like a lot of people, you probably think that Rolex is the most expensive and classiest watch on the market, but it isn't. And he goes on to tell me about all the other watches and what they're worth and what the different models of them are worth, and on and on and on. I thought, oh, wow, so I'm glad he wrote to my publisher and he sent it on, and he doesn't know where I live.
You should have said at the end, is that what you're talking about? Is it better than Timex?
So I thought, okay, but that was about it.
Well, he clearly had time on his hands.
Yeah. And on his mind.
I think my favorite fan letter that I've ever gotten in my life is you get fan letters. Thank goodness prisoners do not have access to email. Thank you God, thank you God. So you used to get a lot of handwritten ones, but the very best one I got was saying, I will give you $100 for a blowjob. I said, well, how are you going to get me the $100?
Same guy.
$100 a lot of money, man.
I got a letter from one of my favorite letters, and it was from a prisoner. Most of them I threw out right away, but this guy was just writing because he'd been reading the various Scudder books, and he pointed out to me that in one of the very early books where Matt Scudder is recounting how he, in that seminal incident, he chased some robbers out into the street and fired his gun at them, and killed one, and that, and in the process also killed this little girl. And he runs out and he said he fired uphill at them. And then, recounting the same incident in another book about 6 books later in the series, Scudder recounts, and he's firing downhill at them. And he said, this may seem like a minor point, but was it uphill or downhill? And I thought that was a perfectly legitimate question. And this was a very careful reader who clearly had the time available. And he was in the joint somewhere in Colorado, I think maybe Canyon City, anyway, and he wrote about that, and I wrote back something to him to the effect that you have to remember this happened back when Matt was drinking, and you really didn't know which end was up. You know, and whatever, and that was that. And this was the first that no one had ever pointed this out in the newer of the 2 books, were probably 20 years old at the time. And then that same week, I got a letter from a woman in upstate New York who had come across the same contradiction in the work and was eager to report it. And she wasn't in jail or in any contact with the guy in Canyon City and that. And I just thought that was wonderful. You know, the coincidence, the confluence of this just impressed me a lot.
One wonderful,
I've waited all that time so that I would have the chance to share it with you.
one wonderful thing about prisoner mail is there's no one who's guilty in prison, okay?
Yeah.
No one, no one.
And every time they write you, they always explain that too.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say
6
that I never
pages.
read my Amazon reviews, especially the one-star reviews, but I do enjoy reading Joe Lansdale's one-star reviews.
They're going to be gathered and published in book form.
What did you do to these guys?
Bill and I have known each other for a long time, and he was already old then.
I knew he'd start with the old.
So each of you here on the panel have long-running series. When you have a long-running series, how do you keep in mind that there are some new readers who are going to pick up book number 18 as the first book of yours that they're reading, and you have other very loyal long-term readers who read your books in order and have been with you every step of the way? Larry, let's start with you.
We keep them on their toes by changing uphill to the downhill.
That's exactly right. It's just an intuitive decision that one makes as to how much to recount. I know Evan Hunter, who sustained a series brilliantly over more than 50 books with the 87th Precinct novels. In the early books, whenever Meyer appeared, there was, he would explain how Meyer got his name from a self-styled humorist father and how he got involved at an early age and all of that. And it was interesting background on the character, but I know Don Westlake and I would refer to that as the Meyer card, where you had to, where you would bring people up to speed who would come recently to the series. And at one point, Evan stopped doing that because he figured either they'd figure it out or they wouldn't, and enough already. There was a writer named William Haggard who wrote, he was a Brit and wrote spy novels. And the one character who was evidently old school gentleman in a certain respect, Haggard would point out that when so-and-so met a woman on the street, he would not tip his hat, but would take it off. And after a while, one tired of this, you know. So I don't know. It's not a decision that a lot of thought goes into as to what